This episode is a special shout out to Jared and to Faith for this idea. Thank you guys so much for this. This is for you.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Rando Commando Show. The show where we take a completely random topic, throw our 2 cents worth, and hopefully have a few good laughs along the way. I'm Ethanuel, that's Jonesy, and today we have a special guest. My brother Nick has joined us today for this special edition of Rando Commando Show.
This is the age of superheroes. As we can display. So today on the show, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking some of our favorite Marvel fights from the cinematic universe. Sorry for Spider-Man and X-Men and Fantastic Four. We're trying to stick only to the MCU just for time's sake. Okay, Ethanuel, why don't you lead us off and tell us what's on your list?
All right, number 5 for me on my list is it's more not so much of like a fight, it's more just like a beatdown. It'd be Hulk versus Loki during the Avengers. I just love that scene where Loki's just rambling on how he's a god, and then Hulk just goes in there and slams around a few times, and then walks off, says, "Puny god," and then just walks off.
The best part of that is like when Loki's just laying there like whining afterwards, and like when you when you see it in the theaters and you're like surrounded by people laughing, like I didn't catch it till like the 4th or 5th time that we saw it. It was like, oh, he's actually like moaning there. That's really funny. Like, I don't know.
Actually, air escaping his lungs involuntarily.
Life force seeping out.
Well, I mean, when you get slammed by the Hulk, I mean, there's not much you can do.
It's true.
What about you, Nick?
My number 5 is probably pretty up there on most people's list. So if you're thinking like, wow, this is number 5, what's the rest of his top 5 like? But it's probably the fight at the kind of in the middle of Civil War at the airport.
Ooh,
right? Yeah. Ooh. Just like everybody fighting everybody, and there's a lot of humor, and there's also like a lot of like just like awesome action. So yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a water truck.
Yeah. Throw this. I thought it was a water truck.
Lots of fire. Much fire.
Or like the Cap and Spider-Man when they're like talking about like New York and stuff. It's like,
I'm from Brooklyn. What's up?
I like what you did there.
I get that. Mm-hmm. That's pretty great.
I mean, I don't get it because I'm not from there, but I still appreciate it.
That's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
Jonesy, what about you?
My number 5, probably the end of Iron Man 3, when it's like the Iron Legion, so like all the different suits come, and he's just like, okay, Iron Men come together, and I mean, I'm not really a fan when he's just like, oh, I'm gonna give up all my suits, and then they all blow up. I'm just like, no, tears falling down my face.
Someone needs to Selena scene that.
I don't know, this is pretty great. Ethanuel?
Number 4 will have to be the Hulk versus Abomination in the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah.
For me, it was like a clash of 2 giants going at each other. I mean, it's like
literally.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you get like. I mean, we had seen like the Thing go up against Dr. Doom, but it's kind of like this really big guy versus this really tiny, kind of a smaller like built figure. But it's like for once, like you get to see like the Hulk versus like the Abomination, like who can actually keep up with them, and you're just like the entire time just going, wow, Hulk might like lose.
Yeah, and since like the Abomination like knows how to fight, and Hulk is just like
angry.
when they're like of equal strength, but this guy actually knows how to fight. You're like, I don't know how Hulk's going to win.
Right.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Yep. Right.
Danny?
My number 4 is Cap versus Ultron. When he's like trying to like keep him busy while they're like trying to track him down, when they're in that semi and they're like driving all around or whatever. Like I just love it. Like clearly, if you know me, huge Captain America fan. So most of my fights are going to be Captain America fights. So get over it. And but I don't know. It's like Cap. It's like he doesn't stand a chance. He just doesn't stand a chance. But he's just like, I'm just going to do it anyway because this is what needs to be done, and that's just all what Cap's all about. So he's just like, I'm just going to throw down until I die or we get this done. And I don't know. I just love it. So.
What about you, Jonesy?
I think my number 4, also from Captain America, going from the Winter Soldier this time, when Cap and Bucky are fighting on the highway, and yeah, just crazy. So like Falcon's shooting at him from up high, Black Widow's in there trying to like bust him up, and then Bucky's just kind of like, boom, I'm awesome. I'm gonna fight you with everything I got. Pulling guns from who knows where, shooting all up. And then, I think probably my favorite part of that, though, is when him and Cap just start going hand-to-hand stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like Bucky's pulling knives from everywhere. And the coolest thing is when he's like held up like this, drops the knife, and it like flips around and catches it in this other hand. And he's going to town. I'm just like, this is so great.
And he like takes the arm and he's like goes to stab and it goes like through the van and he like cuts a van and you're like, that could have been your face, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I like that scene a lot just because there's tons of action, and I love hand-to-hand stuff too. Like, I know. There's a lot of cool choreography going on with that as well.
Yeah, it's like that's a lot of the reason why like I like the Captain America fights too, because it's like just cool hand-to-hand fighting.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just like dudes shooting at each other, which is like cool, but it's a different kind of cool.
Exactly. Right, different aesthetic. Ethanuel, next.
Ooh, this one's gonna be kind of tricky for me to decide, but I think I'm gonna go with in the first Iron Man. We're gonna go Iron Man versus Obadiah, like from the first Iron Man.
Ironmonger.
For me, it was like kind of like. It was like one of my first Marvel superhero movies that we actually got to see, like in the MU, like in that particular like.
Yeah, I mean that was the one that
launched.
That was the first. That was the first one, yeah.
Right, but that was like, and so for me it was like, okay, like Iron Man. It's like before like Iron Man 2 and 3 came out, it was kind of like nobody knew what Iron Man was capable of, and then like even in that one, it was like he was still kind of like, all right, I gotta protect people, and oh crap, I got this big old guy coming in a big suit coming running at me. It's like. You kind of see that more as opposed to like the other two. It's like he's not really involved with like trying to protect civilians. It's just more like he's got backups. But it's like that one. It's like 1-on-1, mano, like let's go. Like that. I love that particular fight scene.
That was a good one.
Thank.
My number 3. Shocker, it's another Captain America. It's when Bucky and Cap throw down with Iron Man at the end of Civil War.
Ooh, that is a good one.
It's just so good.
The thing that gets me
tag team,
right, and like I don't know, you get a lot of guff of like, oh, if it was just Cap or Bucky by themselves, they wouldn't have beat Iron Man. But here's the thing: I don't think a lot of people acknowledge and or realize is that I think one of Captain America's, it's not like a superpower, but it's like one of his traits is that like he inspires loyalty and friendship, and like his friends are like an extension of like him and like a superpower almost, you know. It's like that's part of like what makes him so cool is he's like a leader and people want to follow him, and like that's sort of like just part of like who he is. Like Cap doesn't often go places by himself because he inspires that leadership,
right?
And so people like want to follow him, and so it's like it was technically 2 people versus Iron Man that took to take him down or whatever, but like I don't know, that was like to me, like that's something that Captain America is like all about. It's like he's like a leader, and he's like
the strong team element.
Yeah, yep,
definitely instills things in others.
Yeah, and of course I can do this all day, and you're just like
that was just throw back to Cap Ridge.
Yeah, well, and
I do this all day. Yeah, and it's just who he is.
Yeah,
really cool.
Yep,
agreed.
Love it.
What about you, Jonesy?
My number 3. This one I like. Probably my top 3 are more on the hilarious side because I think humor is just awesome in a fight. So my number 3 would be Ant-Man versus Yellow Jacket.
Yes!
fighting on the train under the Christmas tree in the house. Like, oh man, seeing that like giant Thomas the Tank Engine, he's like,
gonna make a smiley face, like,
right, and then he's just gonna like, it's just like, I'm losing it. It's so great, but I also just like the growing and shrinking element of that. I was like, oh, it adds so much more of a dynamic to the fight. And
it's like such a unique fight.
Yeah.
It's like both like really funny, but like, and like they start like in the briefcase or whatever, like up in the helicopter and then they fall. Yeah. Like there's like all that.
All that
like,
little stuff that's like hitting. They're like, oh my gosh, a giant pill bottle.
And isn't like like somebody's like cell phone or iPod drops past them, starts playing music, and that's like the soundtrack. It's like, oh, it's just so good.
Who doesn't like hilarious? Ethanuel, next.
Number 2. This one was a toss up between number 2 and number 3, but I put it up a little bit up there in the just for old time's sake. This one goes back to the first Cap versus Red Skull on the like. I just love that sequence where it's kind of like you know that Cap is still frozen in the ice, but you're just kind of like, oh crap, like this is how he gets there, and it's like, I mean. You know he's not going to die, but you still kind of feel that fear of like, oh, the Red Skull, all he has to do is hit him once, and Cap can't recover from that. And you're still like, please don't get hit, please don't get hit, please don't get hit the entire time. Like, you know, that's why I love it so much. It's just because it's like so much is at stake, and then you realize like, oh, crap.
Like, I know where this is going.
I know where this leads.
What about you?
My number 2 is like, I don't know, it's like I guess it's not really a cheat, but like the final battle in the first Avengers movie where it's like the whole team comes together and has that sweet shot of like panning around of all of them kind of like loading their weapons and like getting ready to throw down and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they also have the other shot that's like kind of like pans through all of them while they're all fighting, and it's like kind of all across the town. And you see somebody like like flying by, and you're like, it kind of takes the camera like through all the different fights and kind of shows you where they're all at. Like,
Agreed.
I love it. And like I love the when it reminded me of Ultimate Alliance 2 when you do like the fusion powers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like when Cap has his shield and Iron Man's like lasering the shield and like bouncing it and stuff. Like I was like, that's like just like Ultimate Alliance.
Right.
Like I loved it. So so if you played Ultimate Alliance, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I love that fight.
Yeah,
that whole thing is just so good. And then ends with Hulk punching Thor.
Yeah, right. Bro fist out the window.
Yeah, love it.
What about you,
So
Jonesy?
good. My number 2 and my number 1 are pretty neck and neck, but my number 2 is actually the airport fight from Civil War. I just, there's so much about that fight.
Yeah.
Kind of like Nick was saying, there's just so much that's so good. I love that there's not only a ton of different things going on, but then you see other characters, kind of like, Spider-Man and Black Panther, that you're like, I don't really know anything about these guys. And even Ant-Man is like, he has his own movie, but still, you're just
You get
kind
to
of
see
like,
a different side of him.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
I get to see him as a team fight, and it's, I don't know, just a lot going on, and it's just pretty great. That's my number 2. Awesome.
That's a good number 2.
Yeah. Next, number 1.
Numero uno is from Winter Soldier, Cap versus Winter Soldier throughout the streets of New York. Like the hand-to-hand like you pointed out, the hand-to-hand combat. But one of my favorite scenes favorite part of that fight is like, you're kind of like, what? Was when they get thrown off the bridge, and Bucky just whips out a grenade launcher and he shoots Cap, and Cap hits it, goes through a bus, and he gets back up. He's like, okay, let's go. And it's just like, I'd be like, okay, Bucky, you gotta give me 5. Like, give me a couple minutes, dude. Not only that, but then like a guy on a machine gun's like, and he's just like,
Yeah, he's got like a mini gun just sitting there like,
yeah, and he's just
mowing
like,
down.
yeah, so good. That's my favorite.
yeah.
The feels.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, that's my number 1, but I kind of cheated and I said both of because Cap and Bucky fight twice in that movie at the very end, obviously, and like for similar reasons. And it's not just because it's like sweet hand-to-hand combat and you're like, whoa, like you haven't like that was the first time you really saw that in one of these like MCU movies. But like I remember. Like at the end when like Bucky's mask falls off and Cap like realizes who it is, like I'm like sitting in the theater like on opening night, like watching it, and like as soon as that happens, I'm like they took that like directly out of the comic book, like the exact dialogue, and I was like, I like knew it was coming, and I was just like, I absolutely
Nerdgasm.
Yeah, I just died, and then at the end, like Cap just ultimately just being like I'm just gonna like let you do this because like I can't, like it just gets me. Yeah. So,
what about you, Jonesy?
My number 1 is the fight in New York in the first Avengers movie. Like I love it when the big like Leviathan thing comes out of the hole, and then Iron Man's like, I'm bringing the party to you, and Black Widow's just like, I don't see how that's a party. I just don't see. So. Funny, yes, very hilarious, but like you were saying, just all of the cinematic shots of going through the city, and they finally take this crazy thing down, and you're like, oh good, that's done. And then you look and there's like 4 or 5 more of them coming out, and you're just like, well, we're toast.
You're like, Hulk, you need to do that 5 more times.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just the scope of that movie for me was what did it for me. It's just it's so massive. You're just like, alien invasion. It's just like, what? There's so much going on.
They will keep making those Avengers movies, but I don't think any of them will ever quite touch like the feeling you get like that very first time.
Right,
first Avengers movie being like, there it is. Like I don't think any of the other movies will touch that.
I don't think so either.
Yep.
The first time I saw that, I was just like, my life is complete. It's just
Right,
so great. I'm so glad I lived to see this movie.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And, if you want to see another video like this and maybe even a longer list, just please let us know, whether on one of our social media websites or leave a comment down there below.
List some of your favorite Marvel's movies and moments as well, because we'd love to hear from you.
And we want to thank Nick for joining us today on the show. Because it's nice
fun
to be able to get, another person.
Fresh face in here.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Rando Commandos signing off.
I'm gonna do the salute parachute.